A U.S. Navy warship cruised past 4 occupied features of a contested island chain in the South China Sea on Friday to protest excessive maritime claims. The guided missile destroyer U.S. Dewey asserted navigation rights and freedoms near the Spratly Islands, about 100 maritime features between Vietnam and the Philippines, the U.S. 7th Fleet said in a Friday news release. The Navy routinely sends warships to the Spratlys and the Paracel Islands, another contested chain in the South China Sea, on freedom of navigation operations to protest unlawful restrictions such as requirements for permission or advance notice of innocent passage through territorial waters. Unlawful and sweeping maritime claims in the South China Sea pose a serious threat to the freedom of the seas, including the freedoms of navigation and overflight, free trade and unimpeded commerce, and freedom of economic opportunity for South China Sea littoral nations, 7th Fleet spokesman Lieutenant Luka Bakic said in the release. China, Vietnam, and Taiwan claim the entire Spratly chain, while the Philippines and Malaysia claim portions of it. Approximately 45 islands in the Spratlys are occupied by small military outposts operated by the 5 claimants, according to the CIA World Factbook website. The Dewey on Friday made an innocent passage within 12 nautical miles of 4 islands: Petley Reef, Sand Cay, Loita Island, and Itu Aba Island as part of a routine and peaceful exercise of rights and freedoms, Bakic told Stars and Stripes by email Friday. All 4 islands are occupied by outposts, according to the CIA World Factbook. Petley Reef and Sand Cay are occupied by Vietnam. Loita is occupied by the Philippines, and Itu Aba is occupied by Taiwan. All interactions between the Dewey and foreign vessels or aircraft were consistent with international norms and did not impact the operation, Bakic said without elaborating. The freedom of navigation operation came just a day after the destroyer U.S. Rafael Peralta and Canadian frigate HMC's Ottawa made an overnight transit through the Taiwan Strait. It also follows months of conflict between China and the Philippines over Second Thomas Shoal, a feature in the Spratly chain occupied by the Philippines. Most recently, Chinese Coast Guard vessels on October 22 collided with Filipino Coast Guard and supply vessels attempting to reach the outpost less than 150 nautical miles from Palawan, Philippines. The incident prompted the U.S. to reissue a warning on October 23, saying it would defend the Philippines under a 1951 mutual defense treaty if its forces, ships, or aircraft come under an armed attack. Friday's operation, however, was not in response to recent events. Bakic said around the world, the U.S. conducts these operations on a regular basis in full compliance with international law, he wrote in the email. The Navy conducted a similar operation April 10, when the guided missile destroyer U.S. Milius steamed within 12 nautical miles of Mischief Reef, one of several features occupied by China in the Spratlys. That transit came 2 days after Beijing launched a series of exercises around Taiwan to protest Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen's visit with U.S. officials, including then House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, the previous week. Bakic, at the time, told Stars and Stripes that the Milius operation near Mischief Reef was not a response to China's exercises. A Chinese warplane fired flares in front of a Canadian military helicopter over international waters of the South China Sea last Sunday, an operation that Canadian military officers said was reckless and could have resulted in the downing of the aircraft. The risk to a helicopter in that instance is the flares moving into the rotor blades or the engines, so this was categorized as both unsafe and non-standard, unprofessional, said Major Rob Millen, air officer aboard the Royal Canadian Navy frigate HMC's Ottawa, the warship from which the Sikorsky Cyclone helicopter was flying. The incident was the second of two encounters the Ottawa's helicopter had with Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy J-11 fighter jets over international waters on October 29, which saw the fighters get as close as 100 feet from the helicopter, Millen told CNN in an interview aboard the warship. The first incident was over international waters outside of 34 miles from the Paracel Island chain in the northern part of the South China Sea. The second was also over international waters outside of 23 miles from the Paracels. The warship was operating in international waters 100 miles, 160 kilometers, east of the Paracels at the time.